Am I the butthole? I locked my entire alley up. Last year I bought a house in my area. Really wonderful old red brick. When I was in the process of buying it, I discovered that the purchase also includes the entirety of the alley. I asked the realtor if this was true. They said yes. I went to the courthouse to double check and confirmed it. So I buy the house, I meet some of the neighbors and I made a joke about charging them rent to use my alley. They flipped out. I was not looking at starting a war, so I just kind of let it blow over. Then winter arrived and the neighbors started demanding I have the alley plowed every time it snowed, because I own the alley and I'm responsible for it. One of them told me they would sue me if they slipped and fell in the alley. I don't believe they were joking. I paid a friend $25 a month to plow the alley every time it shows to keep them happy. But during this time, I was also talking with some people at the courthouse. As soon as the snow started to melt in my area, I got a hold of some local contractors and had them build a gate at the entrance of the alley that I keep locked. I've also posted trespass warning signs on the gate. It's all completely legal. I made sure of it before I did this. Now the neighbors are just livid. Basically everyone is calling me a butthole, including my family. One final note, I'm only here to settle a debate with my sister. Regardless if I'm a butthole or not, the alley isn't going to be opened up again. You don't threaten me with a good time. Edit. Alright, that's enough. I spent the last 10 hours responding to commenters. I'd like to thank everyone who privately messaged me so they don't get in trouble with the mods. I loved reading all of your nasty messages. For anyone who doesn't know any better, the alley has 2 garages that open to it. I would have figured most of you would realize an alley may have a garage, I guess not. I didn't intentionally leave that fact out, but after everyone started howling about it, I decided to wait until I was done here to edit the main post. I'll update if I ever get sued into oblivion. Lots of love. Not the butthole. Someone threatened to sue you over a perceived potential hazard. You blocked access to the hazard. That's a reasonable response. Problem solved. Enjoy your alley. Yep. Every single person who bitches about it, I'd be pointing at exactly who threatened to sue for liability because it is, as they put it, your property. And don't forget to say to the ones complaining, this is why we can't have nice things karma. Unfortunately, if an easement or right-of-way has been created, very possible, the original poster could be legally responsible for maintaining it and any injuries occurring on that property. Original poster needs to speak to a property lawyer. Op already checked with the courthouse. Reread the original poster. And this is not necessarily relevant. Checking with the courthouse is likely akin to a land titles check, which will advise on any existing easement, not on whether one has been constructively created over time and just hasn't yet been determined to exist. Checking with the courthouse does not put the original poster in the clear. At all. If they believe this, it is likely they have misconstrued the advice they were given, because unless they have a recent ruling from a judge, and this is almost certainly not what they mean when referring to advice from the courthouse, that there is no easement, the information they've outlined suggests an easement could definitely be found to exist. 1. That's not really how constructive easements work. If original poster isn't encumbering his neighbor's usual use and enjoyment of their own properties by restricting access to his alley, you'd have a very tough time convincing a judge to create a unilateral easement to the benefit of the neighbors. Even if the neighbors could make that case, which is unlikely, they undermine their own argument by abdicating legal responsibility for the supposedly shared space. It's everyone's property until there's a problem, or it's time to pay for something. That means they know it's Op's alley, and are operating in bad faith. 2. Original poster should have owner's title insurance on the property. If he got a mortgage loan, the lender absolutely has title insurance. Unless the alley was specifically excluded from coverage, both the buyer and seller title companies/lawyers, local and county governments, and all prior recorded documents agree that this is Op's alley. 3. If the records office at the local courthouse is telling original poster to do what they want with the alley, it's extremely likely any burden of proof would be on the neighbors to prove it's a shared alley. Who, again, haven't done anything to maintain the alley, don't legally own it, and are effectively attempting to extort free usage with empty legal threats. Again, I don't see this going well for the neighbors. May I add a 4, contractors wouldn't touch building that gate unless this was proven first. LOL right. Tell that to the contractors who did an illegal, unpermitted and hazardous gut renovation, without proper lead abatement protocols in place, for my neighbor's 100-year-old row house. It resulted in my home being filled with lead dust, requiring a very costly professional remediation to clean it up. I've met many a shady contractor. That's not really how constructive easements work. If original poster isn't encumbering his neighbor's usual use and enjoyment of their own properties by restricting access to his alley. In another comment, it became apparent that some of the neighbors have garages facing the alley. By blocking up the alley, they can no longer enjoy the usual use and enjoyment of their garages. This should be higher up. That makes this situation a whole lot different in my opinion. He is encumbering his neighbor's usual use and enjoyment of their own properties. He's blocked off access to some of their garages. Also, how is original poster proving that they abdicated legal responsibility? By going in front of the judge and saying, "That's what they said?" Also, it's silly to say they abdicated their legal responsibility, because they don't actually have any legal responsibility. And, original poster taking on plowing the alley, therefore facilitating access to the neighbors, is actually a detriment to his case. No one is saying it's not ops property. But just because it is, doesn't mean that he can't be legally forced to give an easement. The records office telling original poster that he can do what he wants with the property has no bearing at all on whether he will able to legally continue denying access to his neighbors. And I would say that a large group of neighbors, who have literally built garages on the alley, can easily prove that they have been using that alley for a long time and that they have an implied constructive easement. It doesn't matter if it's always been private property. If they've been able to use it for decades, and they have structures that they now can't access because original poster is blocking access, their case has a lot of merit. They have more concrete merits on their side, where ops is just that he owns it and some he said/she said comments. Also, since original poster knew that the alley was his property before he bought it and it was apparent that all his neighbors were using it, the court would very likely treat this as an implied constructive easement. I think the neighbors have a very good case. I didn't see where it said that the neighbors use the alley as the sole means of accessing any garages. If you read the comments, you'll see that blocking the alley has cut off at least 2 neighbors' garages from road access, rendering them unusable for vehicle storage. A pretty big detail to leave out of the original post. Sorry you're being downvoted. This is all really spot on, given the details original poster has described in the comments that now at least 2 neighbors have garages cut off from the road. In most jurisdictions, if those homeowners have been relying on the alley for garage access for 10 years, a constructive easement will be a no-brainer for any judge if the neighbors choose to escalate this. It's really in ops' best interest to resolve this informally with his neighbors. If they go to court and he officially gets an easement placed on his property title, his resale value will take a big hit. Not the butthole op road he checked with courthouse to determine if alley was his before or during escrow. Then when he put up gate, he wrote he made sure it was completely legal to do. I'm interpreting that as he did what was necessary to ensure he had legal right as well as his liabilities. We shouldn't presume he took word of one courthouse employee only. Original poster is only posting "Am I the butthole" about whether putting up the /gate was an move. The neighbors are buttholes for presuming rights they didn't have and for abusing ops' willingness to let them have use until they made a big deal. Op, just ignore family and neighbors telling you were wrong to put up gate. Neighbors may dislike you for years, your family/friends will forget this soon. Yes. Court employees can't give legal advice. Just tell you what's on record and procedural things. A. His title company in the sale would have found any easements to inform him about. He could ask them to double check since he's already paid for it. The whole "am I the butthole for blocking access to my property?" Not the butthole because liability dance is a bit tired by now, but the plot twist of one of the other parties saying that they'd sue original poster if they felt takes this one a level above the rest. Right? I'm getting really sick of it too. In fact, I'm getting sick of this sub being mostly obviously not buttholes. Sadly, it's very difficult to see if you're the butthole or not if you're in the middle of it. You can start out being 100% certain that you did the right thing, but if enough people close to you keep saying that you are a butthole, it'll be really difficult to stick to your certainty. Op, put a sign up. Owing to legal threats, this alley is regretfully now closed to the general public. point to it smugly every time somebody bitches about it. Exactly. Not the butthole. They complained that original poster need to upkeep it, even though it was probably not being maintained before original poster moved in. They complained about it and insisted upon keeping it suitable to their needs or else retaliation. Original poster did with his/her own money, not with any contribution from the neighbors. So why would they be given access to the alley? It's my property and my money that's maintaining it. Original poster has every right to block it off so no one tries to get hurt. Stand your ground, original poster. Everyone who has a problem with not being able to use your property should be reminded that they made no contribution to help maintain the alley. I doubt the alley is the only means of walkway. Alleys are just shortcuts, not essential lifelines. Not the butthole. The second someone jokes about liability or tells you to have it plowed, you close it. Agreed. Why not extend your property so it's not an alley anymore, it's part of your land? Or use it for storage, etc. Changes the psychology of it all if it's not seen as a blocked-off alley but as private property serving some other function. Might make a nice community garden once the entitled dicks are gone. Might make a nice community garden once the entitled dicks are gone. Sadly, if there is shared community space, there are always dicks. They are like catchweed, they pop up anywhere they can find a crack to root in. Why not extend your property so it's not an alley anymore? It's part of your land. Might not be possible depending on how it's set up. I'm personally envisioning two strips of house with their backs facing each other and owning the alley in between them. Not a very practical extended backyard. Great extended backyard for a dog to run in. You know what? Fair point. My concern would depend on the kind of fence everyone has though. A bowling alley. I'm not honestly confused at everyone's responses saying this is solving a problem. Original poster says several neighbors have garages that back onto this alley and now they can no longer park in them. If someone was stopping me parking in a garage I owned that I'd been able to park in for years, I'd be talking to a lawyer the next day. This is solving the problem from OPSPOV. If they needed it so badly, the best solution for everyone would have been that all the neighbors using the alley pitch money to have it plowed. But instead they decide to threaten original poster with legal action in case of an accident. Neighbors are pulling choosing beggar crap by wanting original poster to spend money to make the alley safe because it's his property while simultaneously wanting to use it. Unfortunately, if you own an access to someone's property, you might be legally required to maintain it. Like a driveway to a block behind your house. Yeah, I bet there are laws and requirements for these kind of situation. However, original poster seems to have gotten all the information he needed to make sure it was legal before doing it. Closest experience I had regarding an access through someone's property was my dad signing a contract with our neighbors so we could use their driveway when we go to a property my dad owns. They live there year-long, so they maintain the driveway during the winter, whereas we drop by 3 to 4 days during that period. The neighbors recently sold their house, so my dad had the new owners sign a similar contract. Don't know what it entails about liability, but as this is a huge favor from our neighbors, my dad would be out of his mind for even thinking about suing them if an accident happened on their property. I just find it awfully rude and entitled. The courthouse does not give out legal advice. They likely did a simple title search/plat print. I once was a property mapper in a county tax office. I absolutely could not and did not give out legal advice. I could provide anyone with recorded deeds, easements, historic tax maps, plats, GIS maps, etc., but the only advice I gave was talk to a lawyer and get it surveyed. Not necessarily. If these neighbors have right-of-way to reach their garages by using this alley, original poster may have created a problem rather than a solution. Yeah, an original poster can talk to his lawyer about neighbors joking about suing him if he doesn't keep his own property up to their standards. Everyone can bring their own lawyers and figure this out, but for the time being, original poster closing off this alley is in their best interest and the right way to deal with this moral issue. Don't joke about suing someone that you need something from. Neighbor, if I slip and fall in your alley, I'll sue you. You're right, I'd better limit my liability by blocking it off. Neighbor, shocked Pikachu face. OP, I'll charge you rent. Haha. Neighbor, then it's your fault if I slip. Like. Let's not pretend original poster is blameless. Thank you. Everyone just glossed over the fact that original poster is just a jerk in general. So you're saying he's a jerk in general just because of that? You need to seek help for real. If you actually look through the thread at all and read Op's comments, he certainly does come off as a petty kind of like saying you need to seek help for real to a stranger and read it over a single comment. I mean, normal people don't think threatening people with their position of power is really funny. I know it's not much and he is legally in the right. But that doesn't change that it is a dick move. So yeah, I would agree that he is a jerk in general. It depends on the tone, and it wasn't a threat but a joke. Right, I was thinking the same thing. The whole "he needs to have it plowed and they'll sue" was in response to him talking about charging them rent. He could have said that he was joking instead of letting it blow over, although part of suspects that he wasn't really joking. I mean, it is pretty reasonable to charge rent when people are using the property and original poster has to pay for maintenance. Even if he was not joking, I don't think he's a butthole. That seems like a pretty harmless joke to me. Obviously we only know one side though. Why should he have not charged rent for someone using his property? Can you explain what the blame here is? Of being a reasonable homeowner? I can see this response, smiley face. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.